Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Luka's Kits, and we are going to take a look at another MPC Fiero, just like the last one. I've been wanting to do this one for a while because after I did the last Fiero unboxing and looking at it, because yeah, that was still a sealed inside kit, and I opened it up and we looked at it and we got a surprise. I had forgotten. I found this one like the next day. I didn't even know I owned it. For the idea that I have, I would much rather use this kit because I like this GT style from the later years. So, and let's take a look at this thing. First of all, from the 80s, the box art the MPC was doing, and I think this was like when Ertl had just purchased them. They were doing a lot of annuals still in the 80s. There's really a lot of great 80s cars that MPC took the reins and produced, and they did a very, very good job. MPC gets a bad kick in the pants, but if you look at all the 80s cars they did, and round two is starting to re-pop a few of them, like for instance that Shelby that's coming out. These kits were very, very nice. Like we looked at that last Fiero, extremely somewhat accurate. I know Onyx Fiero, he's the Fiero expert here in our community. He can, down in the comments below, Onyx, go ahead and say what needs to be said. I know he has said there are things that aren't exactly accurate because I think they used the old chassis on this one, which it had an updated chassis. He can say more about it. I'm not a Fiero expert, but all in all, these kits were well detailed and fairly accurate. But let's look at the box art, and it lets you know. I mean, you can always do a custom street edition. They always had some cool. Looks like they put Corvette wheels, and the tires are sticking way out. It's kind of got a, I don't know, 80s hot rod look. I don't know. Custom wheels and tires, or just Corvette wheels and tires. Beautiful detail. I mean, these are shots from built kit, I believe, but I don't know. That has spark plug. I think these are shots of the real car. Cheaters, and of course the side has the same box art, and then it talks about everything you need to do. Build 1 out of 2 versions. Box art. Really cool kit. I haven't opened this up, so let's see if it's sealed inside. It looks to be sealed inside. But here's oh, I could use more of those. A bunch of BF Goodrich. I like taking these and widening them out, and they work out really nice. So the more I have, the better. Ugh, that's a horrible custom wheel. It looks like a pooched out Corvette wheel, but we've got our needed parts. But yeah, so the one thing that I'm curious about with this one, let's take everything out and look at, get the box out of the way, is remember those flares that were in? Oh yeah, those are cool decals. I like all that red striping. It looked cool on that black version. I might use that. Oh good. Clear. I might use those stripes if I was to do something like the black version. 87 Pontiac Fiero. It looks like, yeah, this is pretty much kind of like a re-up of the last version. Oh look, that's simple. There. Unbagged original kit. What do you think of that? That's what we do. There's a few loose parts. A master cylinder in here. Let's set this off aside. So my curiosity here is, let's take a look at that body. I just love the looks of the later GT. I remember when these hit the streets, I knew a girl that had this car, and that thing was cool. Pretty nice looking, looks accurate to my untrained eyes to the Pontiac Fiero. But this is a pretty well detailed model kit. I love that. How the chassis looks. Nice interior. Doesn't look like this version comes with those really cool flares. There's your Iron Duke. And does this come with the V6? It does come with the V6. Multi-port fuel injected V6. That's cool. There's the hood. The front. We got two. Oh, that's the rear over there. Thought I saw another front. Exhaust for the V6, and I believe that this is where we have incorrections here is the chassis was a little bit changed by the time they came to this body style, and it might have been a bit different in the steering and upper and lower control arms, but if so, great. If not, great. Pretty good detail. Look at that transmission right there. There's our pieces for the, yeah, that's really accurate looking. I always like the looks of the V6 multi-port fuel injection. I think they did that pretty accurately. Real quick, like, out of curiosity, we got this pile here. I happen to have, still sitting here, hadn't put it away, the other Fiero. Okay, so let's do a little bit of comparison of parts. There's our body, the first version, the early first came out. What the Fiero looked like, and what was this? This one is like an 84 was the first year for him. It looks like, yeah, all those parts, that it looks like these kits share a lot of the same parts. All the chassis the same. Let's move some of this stuff. Here's our chassis pan. It's the exact same. Yeah, you can see it's all exactly the same. Quite possibly any of the differences that were done in the basic platform of this newer version of the car, what was this, 87? If they did any changes at Pontiac, it wasn't transferred in the model kit, but still pretty nice looking. So with that being said, here's a nice little comparison of the bodies. I always like the early one, but I really kind of wanted to build the early one stock. This is the only version of the very first early Fiero that came out. This is the only kit version of it. Then we've got our later GT, which is the one I kind of want to go more race with. And then, of course, there is the monogram one. I've got a couple of those. That does the early GT body style. But this is just the stock Fiero. I really want to build this stock. Unless I could ever get a hold of another one of these, that'd be nice. Remember the flares. I'm going to just try these flares out. But let's just see if these fender flares will work on this Fiero. Might have to do some changes on the front nose, but I might be able to make these work. I know it fits right there perfectly, because this is what I really want to use these for. And somewhat works. I actually might be able to make this work. Maybe. A little bit different shape on the back. I really would like to put these types of flares on this, but I also don't want to ruin these, because look at the rear is totally different. That's kind of a bummer. I wish they would have had flares for this one. This is the car I really want to make the race car out of. I don't really want to do that with the earlier Fiero, so it looks like I'm going to be on the hunt. I know these are going to be going for some big money. This one I'm fine with. I still might make a race car out of it and figure out a different way of flaring the fenders. We'll see. I love the idea of a little track car Fiero with this body style. The fender flares really work well with this, because that's what it was made for. And I want to build a stock one, so this is kind of a bummer. I think we're going to be on the search for another one of these. I think I'm going to go find another one of those. Gee whiz, that's what I need, another model kit. But there it is. There's your 87, I want to say. That's when I remember these came out. I think 87 and 88 was this Fiero GT. These were a real pretty car. I love them. And I actually, gosh, this styrene is really robust compared to the other one. I really like the feel of it. This could be a very fun kit to put together. Whether I make a race car or I make a street car or a customized street car, I love the idea of flaring these fenders though. If I can make these work somehow, I think I might have some ideas. I don't really want to cut these fender flares up, but I sure would love to. It's just not going to fit on this body, but I sure would love to make that work. That would be super cool. Definitely the rear ones. I don't know. We will play around with it. Who knows? it's a start. It's a beginning. I might be able to make it work. There's where it gets tricky. That's so strange. It seems like the body on the old version is like longer. It does have a bit of a different shape. It looks like it's longer. That rear comes out a lot farther, the front end. That's interesting. They really chopped the back off of these and made them a little shorter in the back. And you can see, look at that in the comparison. You can see how much more rear there is to this than that, just by judging by the back. Very interesting. It's cool having both these kits. I got them later on. I didn't pick them up back in the day, but I was always a fan of Pontiac back in the 80s. I had a couple of Trans Ams. I've talked about that, and I always did like the Fiero. I thought Pontiac just had a really cool style, and I loved their entire line. I liked Grand Ams. I liked their whole line of cars in the 80s. I thought they were really cool. Valve covers for both engines. But yeah, those wheels, those are horrific. I wouldn't use those, but it was a cool 80s styling. And before we go, we're going to take a quick look at the instructions. We usually do this first on these, but no. Oh well, I didn't quite. Yep, 87. I was right. It really looks like a pretty simplistic build. It wouldn't really take long to build it. You're just doing it out of the box and stock. A lot of neat features. Yeah, it's got a lot of parts taken from the earlier version, which from my understanding isn't 100% accurate. So there you go, the MPC 87 Pontiac Fiero GT. Such a cool looking car. Super cool kit. I was really happy. I don't remember ever getting this. I didn't realize I had it. So cool that I got this kit. If you happen to see this for a decent deal at a swap meet and you're just kind of interested in Fiero, I highly recommend this kit. This is the coolest version, the best looking version, I think. I really like these when these came out. I am super. We might as well do a replay of, let's not forget that kit right there, which that just has some nostalgia to it for me. I do want to build just a stock one of these because I had so many friends that owned them. This was a fun little car. Just the one we're featuring. It's when it got really refined and it just had so many cues taken from the Trans Am from 85 and 86, and I love 85, 86, 87, 88 era of Pontiac. I was involved with a race team at the time. Worked on an 86 Mecum, if you remember. They had the Macho Trans Am, or the Magnums, actually they were called, by 1986. Dealt with these vehicles a lot, this and the Trans Ams in that era. So this whole styling and look just brings a lot of fond memories for me. So yeah, I think I got to build one of these days. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little trip through memory lane. If you were around in the 80s and remember when these were on the streets and on the shelves, and you always wondered if you should buy one, well, now if you happen to find one at the swap meet, pick it up. I know I will. I wouldn't mind having a couple more of these. That's what we do. We play with model cars. Why? Well, that's easy. Because they are fun. Here's the producers.
Luka's kids, it's Luka's